The year is 1914 and we are introduced to a young man who is from England. He decides to travel to a remote island that is located in the South Atlantic. He wants to get to this island and work there for an entire year as a weather observer. This man has to get on a ship that travels to this faraway island. While traveling to the island, he meets the captain of the ship. After a long journey, the man and the captain arrived on the island. It seems that on the island there was also another weather observer. The captain and the young Englishman try to find this weather observer, but they do not have any luck. Soon enough they realize that the man who was the weather observer on this island has gone missing and there are no traces of him everywhere. Also, the island is very creepy and strange. The captain and the Englishman soon find that there is only one person on the entire island. The only human on the island is the caretaker of the lighthouse. Also, the lighthouse does not look normal. It looks like it has been turned into a giant fort. The lighthouse seems to be a place that the caretaker defends. We still do not know why. We learn that the caretaker of the lighthouse is called Gruner. He is a giant man that is old, but he is still strong. Gruner greets the captain and the Englishman, but he is cold and means to them. The captain and the young Englishman ask Gruner about the previous man who was the weather observer. Gruner explains that the man is already dead. He died from a sickness. It seems that maybe this man tried to swim in the ocean and he drowned. There is nobody, so there is no definitive proof of the cause of death. The captain thinks that Gruner is lying, so he wants to return to the ship. He tells the young man to also return to the boat and leave. This island is too dangerous for anyone. The young man rejects the offer from the captain and decides to remain on the creepy island. The Englishman is now on the island and he plans to stay here for a year. He decides to live in a cabin and work as the weather reporter, like the previous meteorologist on the island. He also decides to explore the island to get to know more about it and learn about the entire place. He goes to walk around the island and soon finds strange parts of the land. The young man finds a strange rock circle that is located on the beach. They look odd and almost like they were crafted by hand. Later in the day, the man goes back to his cabin to rest but also learns. Soon he learns the horrible truth. The man gets attacked by sea monsters in his cabin. He is now really afraid and has to hide in the basement. One of the monsters looks at the man and this scares him a lot. He is really afraid, but the sea monsters run away soon after that. The following day the young Englishman goes to the lighthouse. He tries to talk with Gruner. He begs him to let him into the lighthouse. Whatever he tries, Gruner does not let him into the lighthouse. It seems that Gruner always knew about the monsters but did not want to warn anyone. After the young man fails to get into the lighthouse, he has to return to his cabin. He has to find something to defend himself if the sea monsters come for him again. Soon he starts to find really useful things in the cabin. He finds a rifle and some bullets. He has decided to defend himself, so he also tries to upgrade his cabin so that it does not get destroyed by the monsters. That night the sea monsters appear once more and start to attack the cabin. The young man has no choice but to fire his gun at the monsters. He shoots some of the monsters and manages to defend himself in his cabin. Soon more monsters come and the young man realizes that he cannot defend himself anymore. There are just too many monsters coming at him at the same time. He comes up with an idea moments before he is killed by the monsters. He starts a giant fire and this actually works. The monsters get scared of the fire and they run away. Still, now there is another problem. The young man managed to survive, but he burned down his entire cabin. Now he has no shelter and he has to hide from the monsters if they come again. The young man then finds Gruner leaving the lighthouse. He had to wait an entire day and the next morning he decided to follow Gruner. While following Gruner, the young man then meets someone else. He spots a female sea creature. Gruner then plans to shoot this creature, but the young man stops him from killing the creature. The young man realizes that this female creature is calmer and not violent at all. Gruner then decides to give the young man a name. He calls him Friend. Also, Gruner explains that the female creature will never leave Friend as it now thinks that he is her master. Then the sea creature starts to lick Friend's hand that has been hurt in battle. Soon after, all the wounds on his hand totally heal. It seems that the sea creatures have some sort of power. Gruner and Friend start to become more friendly. Friend comes up with a plan. He will share his ammunition and supplies with Gruner, but only if Gruner lets him stay in the lighthouse. While Gruner is not really a person that likes people, he allows Friend to stay in his lighthouse. Gruner has a theory. He thinks that the other sea creatures often attack because they are trying to get back the female sea creature. Maybe they want her to return to the ocean. That same night more monsters come and they all attack the lighthouse. Friend tries to fight, but he faints because of all the fear. Gruner is now furious with Friend. He does not want to have someone useless on his team. After the battle, Gruner tells Friend to handle water and the other supplies as he is not a good warrior at all. Gruner wants to train Friend in the most brutal way. He decides to one night leave him outside on the balcony. He gives friend a gun but looks at the balcony so that friend cannot go inside. The entire night, friend fights the sea monsters. When the morning arrives, Gruner goes outside to check what has happened. He finds friend who somehow managed to survive. He is now totally covered in the blood of the sea monsters. Days pass and friend and Gruner have become closer. Every night the creatures come and they have to fight them. They are brutal but they manage to fight the creatures with all they have. When the monsters attack they have to be careful about every morning. When the creatures are not attacking, Gruner attacks and abuses the female sea creature. Friend on the other hand is kind to the sea creature. He even gives her a name. He starts to call her Anaris. Friend starts to remember the original goal, why he wanted to come to this island and stay here. Friend wanted to find peace and be left alone. He wanted to just be alone for the rest of his days and enjoy the pointless aspects of life. One night more creatures arrive than usual. Their attack is brutal and there are so many of them. Friend and Gruner have a lot of trouble in the battle and they waste a lot of their ammunition. Soon they almost die in the battle. Friend and Gruner realize that the attack is just going to get worse and they are already injured. Gruner actually gets bitten in the foot and they have to run away from the monsters. The creatures just keep coming at them until dawn breaks. After that, all the sea monsters return to the ocean. Anaris decides to heal Gruner and his foot. During the day, friend spots a ship in the distance. He tries to signal the ship so that they will be saved. Gruner gets mad at this and attacks friend. Anaris then shows up and protects friend from Gruner. Gruner is now angry at both of them. It seems like Gruner does not want to be saved from this island at all. Friend starts to walk on the beach and explore the place. He finds bones from dead whales and starts to do art with them. Anaris then leads friend to an abandoned boat on the island. Friend tells Gruner about this boat as this may be their way out. Gruner on the other hand thinks that the boat is too small and weak to be in the open seas. Gruner explains that this ship belongs to a Portuguese man. This man was killed by the monsters. He also had dynamite on the ship but the water destroyed the dynamite so it's not usable now. Friend thinks that maybe they should explore the destroyed ship as they may find a solution to their problems. Gruner is not interested at all. Anaris and friend spend more time together and get closer. Gruner is jealous of them and angry. Gruner hopes that friend will die while exploring the ship so that he can have Anaris all for himself. Friend puts on an old diving suit and goes down to see the shipwreck and to find dynamite in the ship. While underwater, friend sees smaller sea monsters down there and they all seem friendly and playful. Friend finds out that the dynamite can still be used and that the water has not destroyed it. Friend and Gruner come up with a plan to drive off the sea creatures. They will use the dynamite to create a giant fire in the lighthouse and scare away all the monsters. Anaris sings to invite the other sea creatures to the lighthouse. The creatures start to attack but the dynamite does not go off. Gruner has failed to set it off. Friend then runs up to the lighthouse and tries to reconnect the detonator. All the explosives are activated and in the blast, many creatures die. Gruner also activates a secondary bomb and kills even more sea creatures. The following morning, Gruner starts to kill the creatures that are still on the beach injured. Friend realizes that the creatures are civilized and not just mindless monsters. Gruner is furious and he reveals that he found Anaris years ago and he saved her. Gruner thinks that she owes him her life. That same night the creatures do not attack and Anaris goes missing. Friend also finds a photo of Gruner with his wife. Friend also finds more sea creatures and realizes that a lot of them want peace. He actually meets a child sea creature and gives it a gift. Anaris then returns some time later and she is more confident. Also, other sea creatures arrive behind her. Friend tries to explain to Gruner that the sea creatures want peace and not war. Gruner does not want to hear this and he starts to kill them. Friend tries to stop Gruner. Also, he reveals that Gruner is actually the meteorologist on the island. Friend tries to get Gruner to become a better person. Gruner loses his mind and goes outside and there the sea monsters kill him. After that, Friend remains on the island as the lighthouse keeper. When the captain returns to bring back Friend, he rejects the offer to return to England. He reveals that this is his place and he has found peace. The end. Thanks for watching. Please, like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.